Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Talking Loud. I am the host, Andrew Brower, or I like to kind of go by CynicTheCritic, but for the sake of the podcast, will just call myself Drew, however you want. And today we have our usual Talking Loud members. We have the Anglophile Gamer, aka Bossy.
Okay.
We have Yoshi Player.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? In here again.
And
Yoshi Player, that was my new test intro.
we have muppetspot.
I'm muppetspot, and I'm really hungry, and I'm really hot.
And we also have two special guests with us today. That's right, we have two special guests. The first person that we have today is somebody who likes to go by the name of WildKirbyAtrox.
That is me! Yeah, that's me. I am here. You all see my drawings or read some stuff I posted on DeviantArt. That's... yeah.
Our other guest that we have today goes by the name of MrTyeDye, or however else he wants to go by.
Who you may know for peeking through the fourth wall.
Hey, yep, that's me.
Awesome, cool. So now that we've introduced ourselves, let's talk about the newest episode. And we got quite a bit to talk about, as we have 4 regular episodes and a half-hour special. And all of them you can see, even though one of them hasn't officially been released yet. But of course, it's been leaked. In fact, some of these episodes have been leaked before they're even released. But let's just say this.
I'm sure by the time you're watching this, the episode will probably have been out anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Let's just say this
By
is
the
the
time-
week of leaks.
Yep. Well, by the time we're recording this, it's leaked.
Right. So today we're going to be talking about head post anxiety, the mad scientist, Deal Me Out, Frenzy, and the half-hour special, Tripped.
Yes!
So let's get started. We're first going to talk about the episode Head Poet's Anxiety. Luann teaches Lucy how to manage the ups and downs of pursuing a life in the arts. Now, what did you guys think of this episode?
Absolutely brilliant.
It was
Beautifully told. Sorry, what?
You know, after Season 3 has had so many episodes that have just been outright mediocre, I gotta say, this has been a breath of fresh air. And not just great, I'll talk about it in a bit. I have some choice words to say about this.
I mean, it's second best for me. I think Road Nowhere is still my favorite episode of Season 3, but this is second, because I thought this episode was fantastic. Not only do I think it's Lucy's best episode, but it's easily Luann's best episode. Yes,
This was the episode that actually got me to legitimately like Lucy as a character. I always found her kind of alright, but I got her appeal for the longest time, but now I finally actually like her because of this episode. And
It's the episode that made Lucy
also
my favorite
Lori's and Lenny's opinions. My opinion on Lori got completely screwed by fan opinions, so that's by the point.
Hey, Boston.
What?
Not allowed.
Just shut up.
Damn
We'll
it.
get to that later.
Yeah, I mean, like, when the plot was first announced for this episode, I was like, Luann and Lucy paired up together. I mean, they were paired up previously in Brewing the Feud, but I mean, like, together for an episode, it's like, that could be interesting. We'll see how this turns out. The two have really great chemistry together. I mean, they're polar opposites. Luann's more cheerful and happy, and Luann's more brooding and dark. The two, they play off each other really well.
And it really manifested in their relationship. Lucy is quiet and reserved, and Luann is naturally loud and vibrant. So it's natural that the latter would become a mentor for the former, and when it comes to performing, because Luann's a natural born stage prima donna. She's exactly the person Lucy would need to get the confidence to go up on stage and perform.
Yep, because let's face it, Luann does a whole lot of performing. I mean, yeah, we had something like Funny Business, and kind of went on from there.
Right, I mean, because, like, unfortunately, for people, how they view Luann, it's very polarizing. Like, and unfortunately, what made Luann so polarizing are the April Fool's episodes, because you either really like them or you really hate them.
I actually kind of like the
do
April Fool's
both.
episodes, though.
Or you're split about
like,
some of
outside
them.
Those episodes, Luann hasn't really gotten an episode where, you know, like, I mean, she's only had like 2 episodes where they kind of developed her. It was funny business and no laughing matter.
But not a lot of people liked No Laughing Matter.
Yeah, honestly, Head Poet's Anxiety made me dislike that episode even more because one of my issues I have with it is that it showed that Luann just can't take criticism to heart. I mean, well, it's more like she can't really take criticism all that well, and if anybody says bad about anything about her comedy, she'll just give up. This episode shows that she's somebody who learns, she's somebody who, like, in the backstory, they show that, like, when she was starting off doing comedy, but she wasn't really doing that great, and she had to try and, like, you know, get over those criticisms and just improve on what she's good at, which is her comedy, which is what led her to graduate from clown college or clown university. I don't know what they said here in the episode.
I think that was a joke. I think they just referenced that from Simpsons.
And then start her own business, and it showed that, and I like that she implemented those same ideas for Lucy. This is what I wanted to see from No Laughing Matter, but I didn't, and I'm glad that Head Poet's Anxiety did this because I thought it was great development for Lucy, and it also gave me more insight into Luann. Not to mention, I think there was some. Not to mention, I thought there was some really solid comedy in this episode, like like when Lucy was performing for her siblings her poem, and then like Lola heckles Lucy, and then like Lucy pretty much ends up like giving her like a response back as a burn, which
She describes it as being more moved by Lynn's farts. Yeah, I kind of get where she's going, like, oh look, it's Lynn twirling humor, but it's not the joke, it's just part of it, so it gets a pass.
yeah, I also found it kind of amusing the 2 parts that we got of like Lynn seeing like Lucy smiling and then like Lucy looking, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, Lucy's doing something nice, get a camera or something like that. I thought it was
If I might say something about that, that's weird because haven't we seen Lucy smile and stuff before this episode came about and everything?
Yes, but not in Lynn Senior's presence.
too much. The only joke I didn't like, unfortunately, comes from Lenny. With that blog joke where it's like,
Yeah, yep, it's another Lenny joke that doesn't work because it's like,
Everyone's
you're
like,
supposed
oh
to be a
no,
ditz.
she's not.
that
Like,
one
that's
joke,
not really what ditzy means.
that one joke kept this from being my favorite episode of season 3 and being a perfect 10. But still, that's like a nitpick.
Sorry,
That's
what
like
joke?
a
Well,
spelling error to a perfect essay, right?
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's another reminder of why I don't like Lenny as a character.
If you
Not
say
the
you
worst
don't like-
example this week, but
Anyway, yeah.
I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut, so keep this
Oh
over.
no, if you want to talk, go ahead.
I don't want to really derail this. Let's just move on to the next episode.
We did.
Anyway,
Trust
next
us.
episode. What about
Wait.
the end is near?
And then, like, halfway through the episode, Lucy ends up performing her poem, and she ends up getting to perform at the Royal Woods Theater, which Luann isn't too happy about. She tries to hide it with some, like, really funny facial expressions.
Yes.
Earlier in the
Not
episode,
sleeper fast.
and you even had it as your average
See where
at one
she's coming
point.
from with the jealousy, so it's not awful.
It's like Lisa's rape face.
Yeah,
Oh my
seriously.
god. That's why I love Walking Loud so much, though. Okay, I'll stop mentioning that every
and
podcast.
so, like, and the reason why Luann is so jealous is because she said earlier in the episode, like, it's one of her dreams to perform at the Royal Woods Theater, and Lucy beat her to it.
To be the
Not
youngest,
just to
and, like,
be
you
young,
see
I was
where
just
she's
gonna
coming
say-
from.
Yeah,
We're
like,
trying
again,
to,
it was
like, say something.
Luann was working really hard to perform there, and at that point, I was like, this episode could derail and just go downhill by making it where Luann would, like, sabotage Lucy's performance. I'm so glad they didn't do that, because honestly, it would have made me dislike the episode.
Yeah, that would be really mean-spirited.
That would have been
So-
a buzzkill.
And make me think really poorly of Luann as a character. But
But I think we should
Thankfully they
mention
didn't.
one thing.
What?
This was written by 2 new writers for the show.
Yeah, they were written by 2 new writers named Abby Wardman and Phil Wardman. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last names, but I mean, I thought they did a great job writing this episode.
Oh yeah, they did, definitely. And
I'm looking forward to the future, honestly.
Yeah,
Like-
so like instead, Luann, all she wants to do is just stay out of it. Like now, she's just annoyed with Lucy. She doesn't want to help her. It's like, you know, why do you need my help? You got to perform. You get a chance to perform there, so why do you need my help? And so Lucy now is kind of like wondering what's going on. So that's when Lincoln tells her. And Lucy,
yeah, Linky Boy had to fill her in on what's going on with Luann and everything.
So Lucy feels bad, you know, and now she's saying like, you know, I don't want to perform there because it's been your dream to perform at the Royal Woods Theater, and I don't want to take that away from you. And that's what I love what this episode does. They never frame either character as the antagonist. They're both equally flawed.
Unlike other episodes this past season.
They're very human characters, which is what I like that they did here this episode, is that how they've written Luann and Lucy, they never made them as being overtly exaggerated. They made them characters that had flaws, but you were still interested in them, and you understand how they were feeling. Luann hears about what Lucy did. Now she feels bad, and she's like, okay, you know what? Get your dress on, you're going to perform there. And Luann decides to just put her pride aside and help Lucy, because it's like, you know, she's my little sister, and I helped her, you know? I have to do this.
The ending with the poem, right?
Okay, yeah.
He just shows her
Talk
appreciation.
about that. I don't have much to say about it.
He just shows her appreciation in the most beautiful
I
way
think
possible.
we could have gone a little further than just showing Luann's reaction, but I think it's fine.
I think that was the perfect way to end it. I recently took a writer's class about how to end things, and sometimes the little thing is just that's how to make a perfect ending. Like Luann's reaction, like she's about ready to cry, and I'm like, that's where you should end it, right? No stupid joke at the end, no nothing. It was like that was the perfect ending, right? Just stop it there, right?
Right, which subtle isn't really in the Loud House's name, which is what surprised me about this. Now, that being said, I don't love the ending. I think the ending is really good. I really enjoyed it, but I have to admit, it's a little bit cliche that Lucy's poem that got her to perform there happens to be her appreciating Luann. It's like, kind of cliche, but you know what?
Well,
I'm
like to think
not
that
going to bag on it too much. I still really like it.
Well, I like to think that, you know, it wasn't going to be, but once Lucy heard about how upset Luann was getting, she decided to change it at the last minute.
I mean, if they did that, it would have made sense. I mean, we don't really get that, but
I like how it's ambiguous. You don't know.
About it too much because I still think it was a really good way to end off the episode.
I liked how it was ambiguous because you don't really know what could have happened, right?
Right. Yeah.
And because, well, here's the thing. Loud House can be a little unpredictable at sometimes. Am I the only thing set?
Yes.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I thought they were gonna do some.
But as far as as far as head point anxiety goes, I really do love the episode. It's by far and away one of my favorite episodes of the season, and I think a lot of people are going to agree with that. I don't really see anybody hating on this episode unless they're an intense Luann or Lucy hater.
It's
Like
probably
McGuffin.
my favorite episode of the season to date so far. It's not as great as some of the best of the previous two seasons, but you know what? For a season that's been really kind of all over the place so far, it's a nice breath of fresh air.
Yes, I want to see more episodes like this because for me, this is what makes me
And
love
at
the
least-
show so much. Is when we focus.
And now I
on
finally like
characters.
Lucy.
We get more of these slice of life episodes.
And let's just hope these episodes don't get derailed like some past episodes we got from seasons 1 and 2. Oh, good lord.
Anyways, I mean, did you guys have anything else you want to add to this episode?
Well, I want
The
to
end
say
is near gag? I don't know.
Yoshi has something to say.
I just
I wanted to save some choice words for the end here, but yeah, I got to be honest. This is probably my favorite episode of the season, and in a different way. In a different way too, because it connects with me with how I usually behave. Like, you know, how I'm usually very nervous about sharing my thoughts out there and trying to take criticism. And this episode connects me in a way where I find it I find it incredibly relatable, because these are the similar struggles that like someone like me would usually put up with, and you know, trying to learn how to get better and accomplishing your goals, but also doing your best to help a lot of people. This is something that I myself have gone through, and to see this episode dive into that concept, I appreciate it more than I think it deserves, honestly. Like, I love this episode, but I think it's one of those ones where I appreciate it so much to where I think it definitely deserves my spot as favorite episode of season 3, and also one of my favorite episodes of all time. It's just that relatable, that powerful, that just that perfect to me. I love it so much. It's just it's perfect. It's definitely my favorite episode of the season,
Awesome. Cool.
and that's all I had to say.
Okay, so...
What ranking? Yoshi, what's your ranking?
My ranking? Well, if you follow my channel, well, I usually rank things on like Garbage House, Average House, Glory. Of course, it's a Glory House episode. 10 out of 10. Absolutely.
Come on.
10 out of 10 Glory House. That's my final score. It's my favorite episode of season 3. I've said that twice. Okay, I'll stop now. I'm sorry. I love this episode so much.
Moving
I
on.
think we all love this episode.
We all do. It's
Yeah,
just
we
gonna
all
be a
do.
little different here on out.
And after how like mediocre season 3's been so far, this feels like a breath of fresh air.
Mediocre.
just like
I
I
thought
said,
season
yeah.
3 has been awesome so far.
Yeah, seriously, why don't-
Very few duds. I think
We all have different opinions, so let's not really.
Different
Oh
strokes.
yeah, we'll get into
Into that.
different opinions later. Oh boy.
Different strokes for different people, right?
Right.
Well, I don't really have much to say about Headphone's anxiety other than the fact that, well, it's just one or two loud sisters actually bonding with one another and everything. And I don't know. It's like just, I feel like something like this is kind of long overdue. But this, I don't know. Do you guys think it's kind of long overdue? Something like this, kind of, maybe? I don't know.
Yes, I mean, I want to see more episodes like this, and I know it's become overdone at this point, but give me my Lenny and Luna episode already.
I want to see another episode about the twins, or maybe even another Lana and Lincoln episode. Even I don't know.
I don't know. Froggold is probably my favorite episode of the entire show, so definitely I'd like to see that again.
I wish they did the Frogwell approach with No Way Out, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah. Anyways, let's move on because we've got 4 more episodes we got to talk about. So let's continue. The Mad Scientist. Lisa gets invited to work at an institute, and she soon gets away from her crazy family. What did you guys think of this episode?
It's another Garage Band, but unlike Garage Band, this one didn't really piss off a lot of people, and I think we all know why.
I like Lisa, but no.
Well, it was a better version of Garage Band because
yeah,
Lisa's a
but
little
If you
kid.
didn't like GarageBand, you might like this one a little more, but even then, that's not really saying much because it's not that great.
Even
honestly.
for being a Lisa fan, just no.
Well,
I
I'll say
can
this.
relate to her personality, and I just no. I'm not.
I want to say this. Mad Scientist, I would take this over freaking Making the Grade any day. Oh my goodness, it reminds me of
Oh,
Spider-Man
yeah,
3.
absolutely. Making the great
Everyone-
was.
I think everyone has just grown to dislike Making the Grade.
I think
It's
I know the
another
alternate.
Spider-Man 3!
I mean, I didn't like it the first time I watched it, and so
I know
obviously my
Jackson
opinion
hates
changed.
it. Jackson hates that episode, and also Jackson, if you're listening, I'm gonna get you.
Anyways, Mad Scientist, I do agree with you, Muppet. I think this is a better version than GarageBand, which, I mean, I know I talked about the episode in the previous podcast, and I want to do a full review on it so that people don't think that I hate it simply because of the lunacy. Have more so to do with Lori and other things with it, but I'm not going to talk about it. For Mad Scientist, I think this is a better version, and I think they get some of the things they do with this episode, they handle it a lot better than GarageBand, mainly with Lisa and the whole thing of her moving out of the house and away from her family. I thought it was much better executed here.
It's handled better here because, you know, she's much far away from her family, and of course, to top it all off, she's only 4 years old.
4 years
So,
old.
you know what?
She's much more
It makes her
fun.
situation so much more believable because in GarageBand, like, it's so
Lori's
simple.
17,
First off,
she's like
Lori's
17.
almost an
And the other thing, the other key difference between GarageBand and the Mad Scientist is that, you know, when Lori started getting, you know, lonely, it was played for laughs. You know, she's falling down while she's
Right,
doing
like,
yoga,
it's
and then
taken
she.
more for comedy. I feel like for Mad Scientist,
Don't
Yeah,
mention
that's
Lori
fine.
farting.
they're still trying. We're gonna get to Lori farting later in the podcast, but
For Mad Scientist, it was played more for drama. You know, the way Lisa started, you know, to cry when she was, you know, clutching
Right,
that
yeah,
skeleton
like-
for comfort.
like when she that's the thing that I think. Yeah, like with Lisa missing her family, it feels more genuine. I feel, even though I will admit that for the first half of the episode, I really didn't like Lisa. The second half made me feel more sorry for her because it's like, like she can't fall asleep because like Laura usually reads her a bedtime story. And she's
No, more realistically, it's Lori reading the story to Lily and Lisa's just listening in and stuff.
right. Yeah, and then like when Lisa has a nightmare, like she runs out, she realizes her parents aren't there, and she needs to cuddle with a skeleton, and she cries to sleep. And honestly, I felt sorry for her. I mean, like that. Honestly, that was kind of sad.
And you want to
Oh,
know
it was.
something that I find a little disturbing? Maybe it's not too disturbing to many, but that one scene where they inject the ice cream into sprinkles and stuff. I'm like, what's up with that?
Yeah, that was kind
I
of
feel
weird.
that
But
really, like,
that
kind
being
of.
said,
Though I think I mentioned this during
I
a
mean, it's a
Yeah.
cartoon. They can get away with that shit.
I
I
think
at
guess
least
so.
it's
I don't know.
funny in a very ironic way.
Loud houses are way worse than before.
there's one thing I'm still wondering ever since this episode premiere. How does Lisa go to the bathroom?
Well,
Right, it
Caesar-
establishes that Lisa goes to bed in a onesie, which, here's also something else that, fun fact, someone pointed this out, that after she couldn't pull the zipper up from behind, she then flipped the onesie behind where the zipper's in front of her. I don't know who pointed it out, but like, I was like, oh, I never noticed that. That's interesting.
Speaking of that zipper scene, like, why did it have to throw in the butt checking? What did
Yeah.
it get?
Okay, so
Everyone
there's one
can-
major issue I have with the episode, and it's an issue, well, I don't want to say an issue, but it's something that happens to the climax that I think is going to divide all of us. But here's like the things that I have in this episode, is that I think it's a better version of GarageBand. They handled the whole thing of Lisa missing her family a lot better. However, unfortunately, this episode has the same problem with GarageBand. I didn't find it that funny. Like, there's
No,
only
it
one
really
joke that I found
just-
amusing, and that was the peanut butter and jelly thing, where she couldn't figure out how to make it. I thought that was amusing. But
That was
otherwise,
pretty amusing. I found the thing where she ran away from the sprinkles injection kind of
Oh,
amusing
that's a
because I'm weird.
nice callback to whatchamacallit, the peanut butter and jelly to baby steps.
Yeah, nice callback to baby steps. I didn't realize that.
right, but unfortunately,
Yeah.
like, I didn't really find anything all that funny. Like, the two scenes of Lynn farting, I was like, I guess that's funny. I don't know.
Haha, Lynn.
It's not the
No,
fart so
girl.
much as her reaction to it.
It's
Like,
yeah,
It's more like Lynn's gross. Get it? Yeah, I do. And it's not fun. Oh,
Whatever.
that was weird.
Like she takes pride in it. That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
I
and
like
then we
it.
get, like, this, and then the whole onesie thing, that could have been cute, but I'm just like, why do you have Lenny teach her how to do it? It's like, I get it, Lenny's stupid, but I don't know.
Yeah, Lenny's stupid. Get it? Yeah, I do, and it's still not funny.
At this point.
Like,
Just take out the butt shaking and we'll be good.
this is
Seriously.
fucking stupid.
Also,
Can I say the ending?
not yet. And then we also get a musical number, which I don't know what's going on. Why are we giving musical numbers to each sibling that isn't Luna? I mean, I'm kind
No,
of...
Luna got a musical
Luna,
number on
people
Road
won't
to
care.
Nowhere.
Yeah, she did, but now it's like, okay, we had this in Mad Scientist, we had one in Tripped, which we're going to talk about later. I don't know, I mean, I didn't really care for the song all that much, and honestly...
Laura Jill Miller isn't that great.
It wasn't horrible. Just didn't find it necessary. Except I did kind of like the noble gases line after reading about the irony about it. I'm
Except
like,
that noble gases don't have an odor.
yeah, which is kind of what I liked about it after I read out. I was like, okay, it's the irony that I like in it, in that line.
Though, I don't know. Though, Laura Jill
So, I
Miller
mean, for
cannot
the
sing
song,
as
I can
Lori.
see some people liking it, but for me, I personally didn't care. Now,
Hmm.
the thing that I think people are going to be split by is there's one more gag I wanted to mention. I don't even know if it's a gag or not. The whole pie chart thing, and she mentioned she loves West Coast rap. I'm like, is this supposed to be a callback to Potty Mouth? Because it's like...
Yeah.
you know,
I think it's something they
Kind of.
just threw in for Californians. Because
they
Californians
learned
love their West Coast
rapping,
rap.
and I'm just like, I guess they're trying to make this a running gag with her character. I don't know, I personally didn't care for it, but now, the climax of the episode, where Lisa admits that she wants to go back and live with her family because she misses her family, but unfortunately she says that she can't leave because, quote-unquote, ruin her reputation in the science laboratory, and so her solution, which is something that she's been working on for most of the episode, just travel back in time to the day before and pretty much just reject the offer. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about it, so just let me know.
It's kind of weird and pointless.
I don't have a
I'm-
problem with
I'm
it personally. I mean, they foreshadowed it from the very beginning. She was working on time travel. Like, why would they introduce that element if they weren't going to have her actually use it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe pointless is not the right word for it. I don't know. Maybe she.
It was a
Out
cop out.
of nowhere, that's the word I would be looking
It's
for.
not out of nowhere, though. And from the very beginning of the episode, she was talking about, creating a time travel.
No, it's a cop. It's more like a cop out ending.
Yeah.
Okay, I see both sides in the argument, and yes, I do agree with you, MrTyeDye. They were hinting at it throughout the episode, but here's the issue I take. It's not with the foreshadowing. That makes sense. It's the fact that it just doesn't really fit tonally with the show. I mean, I get it. They've had some weird elements here and there, like the trash monster from Torn Peace, and
Oh
some
god.
robots here and there. But for the most part, the show has mostly been grounded in reality, which is part of the charm that I have with this show. I mean, because there isn't really, I can only think of maybe a few other shows that would be similar to Loud House. Otherwise, most cartoons are basically more fantasy, science fiction based. So when they added in the whole time travel thing, I was just like, I don't know, it doesn't really fit tonally. And honestly, I kind of feel like it hurt what could have been a really good ending. But again, I understand why there are people who really like it. They find it really creative and interesting. But for me, I didn't really like it.
Let's move on.
Nope, I think I got everything I wanted to talk about.
Alright,
There's
Yoshi,
a cupcake thing, but it's not that major.
so yeah, I mean, for MrTyeDye, it's a better version of the GarageBand, and I think Lisa is getting better as a character. I don't hate her all that much. I certainly like her a lot better than I did in Season 1, but still, Friend or Foe is still my favorite Lisa episode, hands down.
Fox.
No, we're not doing this.
It's actually pronounced.
French
I
origin.
pronounce it as
So
Foe.
AUX means the
I'm
O
saying it's
sound.
Fox still.
If I may
O
say
is a
something.
word of French origin. Okay? Alright.
If I
So-
may.
Yeah, this wasn't that great. My score, 5 out of 10, average house.
Alright.
It's
Again, better than GarageBand, but not by much.
If I may say something about the mad
This episode didn't
scientist,
piss me off.
I kind of thought the callback to Lincoln making Lisa's PB&J sandwiches was kind of cute.
And it's a nice callback. It shows that there's some continuity.
yeah, because it's called back to babysitter.
Right, so, I mean, I'm glad they did that, but...
Oh, I
This
have.
episode,
Lincoln and Clyde worried that they may be too old to still be playing a savvy. What do you guys think of this episode?
This
I'm
one.
kind of split
Alright.
on this one.
Well, I really like the ending. Everything else was just kind of meh.
Honestly,
This is all wishy. I'm wishy-washy.
this episode was alright. I didn't hate it.
I-
Honestly, I think if you've enjoyed... Here's my preference, is that if you've enjoyed any of the Clink and McCloud episodes, you're most likely going to really like this, because it's more or less just the same.
Even for being a
I
Clint McLeod episode, it's
disagree.
passable, really. I can live with that.
It does have elements of development.
Trust me, we've had worse Clink and McLeod episodes on there, and you can already think of one example right off the bat just from me saying it.
Okay, so... Yeah, I mean, and again, I don't hate this episode, but, I mean, when it comes to Clink and McCloud episodes, most of them don't really get a score above a 6. And there's only a few episodes where I can have them be, like, good, you know, like, Intern for the Worst, Baby Steps, and Out of the Picture. Although, in the latter case, that episode was only good because of Lol.
What about Are You For Real?
Good. And Argue for
Maybe
Real.
for
real.
I get people don't like that episode, I understand, but, I don't know, I still liked Argue for Real.
Actually,
The thing that's
I got one examples of...
the thing that sets, Return from the Worst and Baby Steps is apart from, episodes like Deal Me Out is that, Lincoln and Clyde fulfill very distinct roles. They feel like two separate characters. My main problem with Deal Me Out is that they're just interchangeable.
Right.
That's been the problem with most Clink and McCloud
Right,
episodes.
it's like,
No,
unfortunately,
again, Intern for the Worst and Baby
I said
They have them in
most.
conflict.
Okay, most.
That's what it was. For most Clink and McCloud episodes, it's like they're basically kind of the same character. They're both the straight men. Like, you know what makes duos like Mordecai and Rigby from Regular Show or Mabel and Dipper from Gravity Falls work? You have one character who's a straight man, like, say, Mordecai or Dipper, and then you have one character who's more eccentric and out there, like Mabel or Rigby. And you can think of
Yeah.
other duos, like Mac and Blue from Foster's.
Bert and
Or,
Ernie.
Rick and Morty.
Or even in,
Right,
even in
Rick
web
and Morty
shows.
work because
Or even
they balance
like
each
little
other
web shows.
out. You know, I feel like for Lincoln and Clyde, they just kind of are just
They're
even.
literally
No,
the same
well, not
character.
even. They're just
basically.
more like they get along so well that there isn't really any interesting conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
no, I think we can all agree that Lincoln doesn't really like the idea of Clyde going for Lori or something.
Well, that's like that's like one of the few things that makes Clyde distinct from Lincoln is that he has a
And
crush
that's
on
already
Lori
has
and
caused some
he
issues.
he has a crush on Lori and he sees a therapist. That's all I can really come up with. I'm sure you guys will probably come up with other things that make them distinct, which you can go ahead and tell me. But I don't know. Those are like the two things that jump out for me.
Other than the fact that Clyde is an only child and Lincoln has a bunch of sisters and everything, but
Right, I mean, like, which again, you can say is a difference and everything, but I'm looking more at the characters and what they're like, and less on their backgrounds. I think that's a little unfair. It's like, oh, they're different because one lives in a big family and the other only lives with two dads. It's like, what about like how they act, how they talk, what choices they make, how they think. Which, I mean, I guess you could argue that somebody who lives in a big family thinks a little bit differently, but I don't know, I haven't really seen that with Lincoln and Clyde together.
well, I also want to say that maybe Lincoln is a bit more reckless than Clyde in some ways, kind of, maybe.
Anyways, yeah, I know we're getting off topic, but I mean, for Deal Me Out, again, I think it's an alright episode. It's just there's not a lot that jumps out to me. Okay, there's two things that do. One that's positive and one that's negative.
Do the positive.
the first of the flashbacks. I thought the flashbacks with Lincoln and Clyde were really cute.
So
Mhm.
I'm getting tired of one thing. All the
What?
different versions of the Ace Savvy costume. We got this one with the white underwear. We get the other one with the victory undies. We get the new one from whatchamacallit. What's that episode?
Pulp Fiction. Pulp
Thank you.
Fiction.
Pulp Friction. It's like, which is the definite one?
Okay, here's
Yeah,
I
he
think
does,
I can
he
explain
does.
it, is that I think that
Yes.
for the original one they had when they were kids, that was before Lincoln got the victory undies from Undie Pressure, which I guess, but again, like, I can see where you're coming from, where it's like, before, like, you got the victory undies, he had to use white underwear for his Ace Savvy costume, and then, like, after he got the victory undies and he had that costume and so the consequences, he used the victory undies. But I also see where it's like now in Tricked and Pulp Friction, he now has like the full Ace Savvy costume, and now it's like, okay, I guess now we're wearing that. I mean, they don't really have an explanation. I'm not gonna complain about it too much, unlike Muppet.
It's just a little annoyance. It's just that I have
I
definite.
mean, like the only two things I can think of is that Lenny designed it or he bought it at a convention.
Or a party goods store, like he went to Party City.
I'm saying Lenny designed it for him or something. I don't know. That's what I would say.
I mean, if there was a deleted scene that showed that, then I would have found that pretty cute.
But it's not confirmed. Anyway, thing that kind of, I don't know, about Deal Me Out, that one kind of threw me off a little bit. On the one hand, the flashback scenes are nice and cute. The ending got to me as well, in a good way. But also, the thing that Lincoln and Clyde do was in giving up an Ace Savvy because they wanted to be with the cool kids or grow up or whatever. That kind of bugged me.
That whole thing, which, I mean, I never see where the message of this episode's gonna go. Is that like, oh, they see that only little kids are into Ace Savvy, and then at the end of the episode, it's like, no, like older people are also into Ace Savvy. I mean, I'm not gonna hate on the message. I thought it was executed fine enough, but I don't know. It doesn't really do anything interesting.
I just forgot the most important thing. We forgot to
What?
mention. We forgot to mention Flip.
Oh yeah, Flip. Just like
Flip, yes.
Yeah, just like with Net Gains, Flip really ends up stealing the best scenes in the episode. Like his whole
Oh yeah, he did.
multiple businesses and whatnot. I thought it was really amusing.
He kept changing up his place and everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
Flip's always fun.
Yeah.
Seriously,
Because he's
such an
better.
underrated character.
Although, can I bring up one problem I had with the episode?
What is it?
Yes.
Well, another problem anyway. The pacing really fell off. Like, we see Lincoln and Clyde, trying all these new activities and failing at them, and then it's like, okay, time to sell our stuff. And I'm just thinking, wait, so did they get good at those activities? Like,
Or
yeah,
the-
like, that kind
what
of-
happened in the interim?
Yeah, and then like in the second half, it's like the second half of the episode ends up spending most of the time where Lincoln and Clyde are together, and then they're like, I gotta use the bathroom, and then they secretly do something related to Ace Savvy, and then there's like, oh, I gotta go to this place, and they do something Ace Savvy. I agree. I thought the pacing, it was, but it has to do also do with the story. It doesn't really do anything that's interesting, and I didn't really find the episode all that funny either. Really, the only amusing scenes I found here involved Flip. Unfortunately, I didn't like it involved Lana. Now, before you assume that it involves the scene with the flashback, that's not what it is. It's the scene where like Lincoln and Clyde ask Lana like, hey, can you teach us about autumn mechanics? And then Lana laughs at them, and it's like, oh, you're serious. I don't know, I just thought that was just unnecessarily... It's like, is the joke supposed to be that Lana, who's a 6-year-old girl, is laughing at two older boys who want to learn about autumn mechanics? It's like, I don't really find that funny.
That didn't really faze me at all.
I kind of saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah, not only is it predictable, again, it just feels unnecessarily mean, and it just, honestly, I don't know, it just didn't really... And unfortunately, the rest of the scene wasn't really that funny either. So, I mean, again, I think the episode's alright, but... And I'm not going to hate on it too much. There's not much worth hating on it with. I mean, if it came on TV, sure, I'll watch it. I don't mind it, but...
It's like one of those
Designer.
episodes where you watch it and you're just like, yeah, I'm glad I watched it once, but it's not something I want to watch again.
It's passable, but it's not great.
It's passable, but nothing spectacular. 6 out of 10, average house for me.
Let's all agree. Baby Lana was cute. Seriously. I don't know what you guys...
Yellow and honestly, I think was still cuter, but no, I like Lana more.
Yeah, but...
So,
Any
Can
final
I
words
just
you
say
wanna add to the
something?
episode?
that I
What?
realized.
What?
What?
Can they stop relying on Lynn being like the main force of like she was the one who starting the conflict or starting the main thing? Like Lynn starts. This is getting kind of tired.
at this point now, I'm just not surprised. It's like, it's Lynn. We're just gonna have to get used to it. It's like, fans like this about her, and complaining about it isn't gonna do anything, so I'm just not bothered by it anymore. Moving on, since we don't have anything else to add to the episode.
Oh boy. There you go.
Let's talk about Frenzy.
Oh boy.
Controversy has begun.
Getting special privileges and take advantage of that. Based on what you guys just sounded like, I can already tell that we're going to be very split. So what do you guys think of Frenzy?
I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I'm with tie-dye. It was fine.
It was kind of meh. I went back to it and I'm just like, this doesn't. It doesn't piss me off. It doesn't do anything bad. It's just meh, and it feels like something I'm just gonna forget. It's not like Not Allowed where it pisses me off. It's not anything that. No, it's just kind of blah. I don't really. Forgettable, really.
I just think this was written on like a quick day where they just needed filler.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I don't often say this because I don't want to come off as just somebody who doesn't take reviewing all that seriously, but this shit sucks. I'm sorry, but I did.
Yeah, no surprise.
It's not the worst. First off, for people saying that it would be as bad as For All in the Family, it's not as bad. That episode is still the worst.
Oh,
no,
not nearly.
no, hell no.
Oh no!
I'm gonna say there are 3 things that I like in this episode. 3. Unlike For All in the Family, where I can't name a single thing I like about it. 3 things.
What?
The first is a plant joke that I found kind of amusing, where it's like, after the whole fight, where it's like, I want to watch the TV channel, and Rita goes to the plant channel, and then like, it's like, now we watch the plant grow. I don't know, I found it kind of amusing.
Kind of feel like Bob Ross.
The second thing that I liked, most of the episode was told in a flashback. I thought that was a really interesting story idea. The problem is that I didn't think the story was that good. I feel like this idea for it being told in a flashback would work really well in like a different episode.
I can see why.
And the third thing I liked is that even though I think the message wasn't executed all that well, it's still a good message to send to viewers. Where it's like, you know, instead of fighting over what we should all do, why don't we just, like, you know, come to an agreement where we like take turns or like do something where it's like it's fair for everybody. Not executed in the best way, which I'll get to in a little bit, but still, I like the message.
Okay,
Honestly, it didn't faze me at all.
Like the second half of the episode was just like a cameo fest.
It was basically the same jokes over and over, and it's just kind of whatever.
I think the cameo fest was just there to be like, look, see, here's so and so, piss off Loud House fans. I know.
And honestly, I didn't care. Even Sam, Darcy, I did not care.
I know other shows have a bunch of cameos, but we get the world built around them. Like, oh, they're established already. Like, say, The Simpsons or Family Guy, we already know about those background characters. Like, I'm using Ollie Williams as my example. Because we know who Ollie Williams is and what he's probably thinking.
Yeah.
Also, may I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll go ahead.
But then when we get characters...
I should explain why, like, you know, like, why people were excited that we were going to get, like, an episode where all the friends are going to come around. Is that somebody told me this, because I was, like, complaining about, you know, like, why are people so excited when a minor character returns? Like, why are they so excited? And I was told why. It's because something that fandoms often do is that when a minor character or a background character shows up, a lot of people will suddenly start, like, creating ideas for what that character is like. They'll create backgrounds for them, what their personality is like, and, like, kind of like create their own universe surrounding what this character is. Like, many people thought that Margot would be, like, Lynn's own version of Clyde and would be the more level-headed version of Lynn. Or how people thought that Carol would be, like, really nice and cute compared to Lori, who is mean and selfish. And I've even seen OCs created over background or minor characters.
Or their...
That's something I want to see. That's something I want to see, because, like, what the freak is...
And apparently this is common for a lot of fandoms, like, especially in, like, fandoms like My Little Pony.
I think Ryan said it.
Problem, really. If anything, I think it's, you know, kind of cool.
What the freak is
Too much, because honestly, hating on it is just kind of pointless. It's just like they enjoy doing that, so why should I hate on it?
You do.
I don't know. I'm just being a dunderhead. I've never understood why they take
The
back.
the problem that I have with all these minor characters making cameos is that they really don't add anything. They're just kind of there to just be fill in as like, oh, this is my friend that I invited, and all that sort of stuff. They don't really add anything all that engaging or interesting, which, I mean...
The biggest problem...
But still, I feel kind of cheated out, especially when it's like, Sam shows up a year after L is for Love, and, you know, I wanted to see more development with her relationship with Luna, and after a year, this is all we get. I mean, I get
she doesn't even get a damn line.
This that did kind of show off for Sam, but still, that, I don't know, I got annoyed with that.
And plus, Sam doesn't even get a line. That's a big problem. Except Margot, because everyone loves Margot.
Or Clyde. You know something? I also want to say something about this. To anyone who ships Luann and Maggie, Maggie does not show up in this at all.
Good thing I don't.
I mean, whose friend is she? She barely knows Luann.
Right.
I always
Exactly. You're proving my point, where it's like Maggie shows up for a little bit, and a whole shipping is created of Luann and Maggie. All this,
or you have
all
people...
like these details around Maggie. All of this is created. You're pretty much proving my point.
Yeah.
So, and now that's not one of my issues I have with the episode. And unfortunately, one of my main issues I have with this episode, and this is something I've been having with a bunch of episodes, is that honestly, I'm not really a fan of the episodes where the siblings are fighting. Most of them, I don't know, I just don't find them all that enjoyable.
Maybe...
I don't think it's... Sorry, you go.
I think it might be because how different people react with their siblings. Like, some people... I know some people are only children.
Right, and again, humor is subjective, so if you find this funny, then... cool, you know, like, if you find it funny, I'm not gonna complain about it. It's just that I'm still viewing this from my own taste of humor, and I just, like, aside from that plant joke, there was just nothing funny here at all. It just felt like the main joke this episode wanted to do was just have every single character be unlikable. Which, again, like, I can see people really enjoying this, but I'm still basing this on my opinion. I just didn't like it.
I don't really think they were unlikable. They were just, you know, being kids. Go back when I was a kid, I tried to get special privileges by having friends over too.
Well, I think because most of us were loners as kids.
Yeah, I mean, and I grew up with multiple different siblings, so I know what this is like, but another issue I have with these sort of episodes of the siblings fighting is that they just kind of write every single sibling as acting the same. Like, most of their personality is stripped away, and they just kind of end up acting like kids.
And then there's a big problem I have.
They end up acting like kids who took advice from Angelica from Rugrats on how to get what you want in life.
I thought you'd never seen Rugrats, Drew.
No, I saw Rugrats when I was a kid.
Then who didn't see Rugrats?
In other words, this could be mob mentality.
Right, so, I mean, and again, people will defend this by saying that, you know, I relate to this because me and my siblings were like that. You know what, that's cool, you know? People will defend it by saying that, you know, it's funny, it's amusing. That's cool, awesome. I mean, and as far as the rest of the episode goes, okay, there's the ending of this episode where it has the message. I'm sorry, I mean, I like the message they were going for, but there are two problems I have with it. First, it felt really slapdash. It just seemed like they wanted to deliver this message in, like, the final 30 seconds, where it's like, quick, we have to throw in the message. And then, like, they still had some extra time, so it's like, let's throw in this joke where the parents are like, oh, we invited our friends for dinner, so we can pick out what we want. So it's like, I don't care if that's part of the joke, where it's like, you know, they're acting like hypocrites just so they can get what they want and they play the friend card. I don't know, it just botched the message of the episode for me.
But why were you be surprised by that? I mean, the parents have always been warped in some way.
Parents, like, why do you have to play the friend card?
Well, to be fair, the parents have always been warped in some way based on past episodes.
Right, which people will say, like, you know, they have 11 siblings, so their minds are kind of warped because of all the craziness and chaos and whatnot. So it's like, but I mean, like, I've already talked about all the things I don't like. I've also put out a full review for it, explaining everything else that I don't like about it. So I'm not gonna go too much further into this. So I'm gonna let you guys continue.
I think this would have been stronger. Lynn didn't start it. That's my biggest problem.
It starts because Lynn brings over Margot, and it just starts a molehill effect, which...
Okay, here's the question. Do you think it would have been better if Luna started it, if she brought Sam?
No, I think it would have been
Honestly,
much harder.
no.
No, I think here's how I think it would work better. If we didn't even... If we just saw Lincoln bring Clyde over, and then Lincoln realizes he gets special privileges, I think that would have made the episode much stronger, right? It was an accident, basically.
Like, what if everything happened out of accident instead?
That would have
think-
been much...
That would have made the episode a lot better, because then we would at least understand that, you know, this wasn't their fault.
They end up letting their selfish tendencies get in the way. Where, I mean, which, that would be a little, that would at least be more understandable. Whereas I think, right from the very get-go, everyone is just a selfish asshole. I agree, MrTyeDye. I see where you're coming from, where it's like, you know, as kids, like, I would try to get special privileges and whatnot, and I'm not gonna hate on that, you know? I understand. Right, I mean, like, and again, like, even though I got along well with my siblings, I will admit that my younger brother, for a couple of years, bullied me quite a bit. Nowadays, we get along really well, but, you know, it happens. Like, siblings aren't always gonna get along. It's impossible. The issue I take with it is that I feel like, instead of just having, like, you know, 2 or 3 siblings or 4 kind of, like, acting selfish and, like, going at their throats and whatnot, they have to add all 10 of them, and I would say 11, except Lily.
Yes, and exactly. All 10 of them, so they all just have pretty much the same personality, and on top of that, they barely, like, showcase any of what their actual personality is like. When I watched this episode, I was just sitting there thinking, who are these people? It didn't feel like I was watching The Loud House, because they all acted the same. They were just all assholes to each other, all acting the same, barely showing much of their personality to me. Like, to me, it just didn't feel like I was watching The Loud House. It felt like I was watching, like, a Sin cartoon, I guess.
A Sin
don't know.
cartoon?
It felt like I was watching a torture cartoon, like one of those cartoons where, like, it's in a, like, dark environment and everyone's a jerk to each other.
I mean,
That's
like,
what it felt like to me.
But that same complaint, I would also apply that to episodes like It's a 4 Times Loud House and The Sweet Spot, which, yes, I get why people defended them, because they also can relate to it. Like, for Sweet Spot, it's like, you know, I want to have the best seat in the car and whatnot. It's 4 Times Loud House, it's like, you know, I want more money than my siblings. And I get those defenses, which is why I can see where both sides are coming from.
Also, may I say something a little bit? Earlier, when you said that siblings aren't always going to get along, I hope some of you people out there who think Luna is Lincoln's guardian taking note. I hope you guys are taking note on that.
Yeah, that's a stupid trope. I may love Luna, but that's a stupid trope. I gotta be honest. But I mean, so like I'm gonna let anything else you guys want to add?
Nah, let's move on.
Well, anyway,
Got one more, right?
Yeah, we have one
Yeah,
more
Trip.
episode.
yeah,
Which is
oh,
Trip.
well, I would give it a 3 out of 10 in Garbage House rating. Again, I don't think it's as bad as Brawl in the Family, but it just didn't work for me. And you know, and don't say, oh well, there are episodes where the siblings can be silly. I'm not saying it never worked. It can work, like in Sweet and Sour, for example. Stuff like that can work. It's just when you have them all just doing it out of selfishness, when they barely do anything to show their personality, that doesn't make it possible for me.
Right, but you could also say like the reason why they're doing being selfish is for 2 reasons: to make it relatable for anyone who's had a sibling, and also, you know, to be intentional for the message. But even then, like, it all depends on execution.
Oh, and also, this episode finally decides to make Lenny and Luna actually interact with each other, and guess what? They're just dicks to each other. Thanks, Loud House.
Everyone's being a jerk to each other, so I'm with you. I don't like that.
Yeah, but that I always wanted to see an episode with these two, and they decide to make them jerks.
Oh, because
Crush
they're
my dream.
because they're the nice sisters.
Yeah, dumb tropes. I don't even like Lenny as is.
And I can already see, like, also people defend Frenzy because it's like, you know, it's exaggerated, it's crazy, it's over the top. And I have nothing against crazy over the top episodes. I can name off a bunch of episodes that I really enjoy for being crazy and just made purely for comedy. Sweet and Sour. Sweet and Sour, Under Pressure.
One Flew Over the Loud House.
Fed Up.
Or Fed Up.
Cover Girls. Sorry, Muppet.
And I guess a bridge too far, even though
Bridge
I'm
Too
not
Far.
big on
I
that
know you
episode,
like that episode.
honestly.
Yeah, I like
I know
Bridge Too
I
Far,
don't like
too.
it, but
I like
it
that episode.
worked better than this. Yeah, I'm
Right,
alone.
so,
I don't like that
so it's
episode.
again, I have nothing against episodes that are purely made for comedy and just to be exaggerated. But just like what I said before with the whole message thing, it's like it depends on execution, which is what I had an issue with for Frenzy. But again, I could see why people would enjoy this episode. I'm just not one of those people. So, moving on, since I think we all given our word on that episode.
Yep.
Let's talk
Let's
about
get to the big boy.
episode that we've had, the first half-hour special for Season 3, Tricked. During a road trip to their vacation destination, everything that can go wrong for the family does. So, what did you think of this episode?
I actually enjoyed
There's
this
a
one.
lot to
Can I just say
desire.
something?
Go ahead.
Not only was this the first special I didn't like, it was the first time a season actually kicked off with a bad episode. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't like
think
this
we're all
one.
gonna be split on this because, unfortunately, like me and Yoshi and I think Muppet are in the minority because so far a lot of people have been loving Tripped. And just like with Frenzy, I get why. Just like with that episode, it's crazy, it's over the top, you're not taking it seriously and whatnot, so...
I thought it was a lot of fun.
I just
Yeah,
think it was
I'm
all.
with
It was just okay. I'm not.
So
Not
it looks like
great,
we,
not
so it looks like
bad.
we are split with this episode today.
50-50.
Yep. So, I mean...
Yes.
And there's me in the middle.
and here's the thing, is that I'm not against road trip episodes. I think, or just road trip plots in general, I think they can work. You know, they can work really well for comedy, but it depends on, like, your taste in humor. It's like, a great example for me for a great road trip movie is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, like, I love that movie, and...
I'm gonna watch
for
it.
me, it works because I thought a lot of the comedy was really memorable and spot on. The chemistry between Steve Martin and John Candy worked really well. I enjoyed their characters. There are even some tender moments towards the end of the film that worked really well into the film. And there are a number of moments from that film that I can remember to this day, even though it came out, like, what, over 30 years ago? And it's still considered a comedy classic to this day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've seen it pretty recently, and it does hold up really well.
Yes, yeah, it does. However, for Tripped, what it reminds me most of is that really terrible reboot sequel, I guess, to Vacation. I don't know. It's the National Lampoon's Vacation. They made like a really bad sequel or reboot like 3 years ago. I saw it and it was garbage. That's kind of what it reminds me with this episode. Instead of sex jokes, just put in potty humor. And yeah, it's like
There was a lot.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there were like a lot of fart jokes, usually at Lori's expense, but
Yes.
Can I
thought
just
there
say
were
something,
some
though?
jokes that what
Like, okay, what are some of the jokes that you really enjoyed in the episode? I actually want to hear what you really enjoyed.
I thought that the running joke of them constantly leaving Lily behind was really funny.
Yeah, it was kind of on the
I
neutral standpoint of
disagree.
that.
It was just an
That
example of
one's...
Rita being
I
a
don't
bad
know how to
mother.
feel about the Lily
isn't
When
really
I
that
first
funny to
watched
me.
it, it was kind of funny at first, and then it just kind of got
That
old.
joke got really old quickly, and it's like...
I kind of like Lisa's breakdancing during the montage.
It was
Oh yeah, that was.
Like, I just found it more amusing. It wasn't really funny. I just
It
found
was
it interesting.
kind of funny. I suppose it was supposed to be a callback to Potty Mouth because Lisa likes rap songs, I guess. She likes to break down. And of course she did it in Mad Scientist as
I
well.
guess the joke
Yeah.
is supposed to be like, you wouldn't expect a 4-year-old scientist to love rap, so it's like, I mean, okay, I can see where it's coming from.
There were a few jokes I liked personally.
Or they-
Well, of course, I'd say the best character in this episode is Mr. Grouse. He had a few amusing moments, but
Yeah,
even
he only
then,
appeared, like, at the
he's
very
not
beginning.
good. He's just okay, and that's not really a good thing.
I mean, like, it's not like Mr. Grouse at his best, like Jobs.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was his best episode by far.
Yes.
Yeah, but like, the problem I have here is that I kind of feel like they really are trying to make a lot of the comedy work by just being as random and as possible, and also by making the characters just come off as kind of really dumb. I gotta be honest.
Yes.
Oh,
Every
God,
character
don't
is-
remind me of that.
I mean-
Actually, I
I
kind
mean,
of want to
you
ramble,
should
but whatever.
you should get a sign that everyone's done because at the beginning of the episode they're all doing a conga dance.
Congo dance, and it's like,
Which is
Oh,
like,
no, that.
why? It's a vacation, not a party.
Because they're excited for their vacation.
Well,
That
you're doing
doesn't
it that
matter.
way?
They're being idiots and it's not
Weird.
funny.
again, humor is subjective, and you find it funny, awesome, but it's like,
Yeah.
is this supposed to be funny? I don't get it, but
So, when you said something about the fart jokes a while back, I have something to say to this. Lori Loud, you've been denying it for a long time, and this, you had it coming.
the whole running gag of, like, not just with this episode, but with the entire series, the whole gag of Lori farting and then blaming it on anything else, it's getting really old.
Why are they still doing this?
I feel like they're really are trying to milk in this gag so that way fans will enjoy it.
Well, this was the first time they were really taking her to task for it, like just
Right, they were
putting her on blast.
They even ended the episode with, I guess, a joke with Lori farting.
That was more of the exhaust pipe that Lana painted
Right,
on.
because, like, okay, we're also gonna talk about Lana in a bit, but I think we say about her, but going back to, like, the comedy itself, like, and I don't know, there's only, like, one joke I found a little bit amusing. It did come from Lenny. It's the whole, like, thing where they're on a prison bus, which I guess they're so stupid they can't tell that they're actually on a prison bus. They can't tell that between that and a regular bus, but I'm getting off topic. Like, she, like, enjoys the prison.
I forgot to mention that
She enjoys
joke.
the prisoner's handcuffs, and she's like, oh, can I see them? And it's like, well, they're locked. It's like, oh, I can do it. She pulls a bobby pin out and does it. I don't know, I thought that was kind of amusing, but...
Yeah, but then that prison guy
He
just
released like a convicted felon.
he kind of shows up every now and then, and he doesn't really serve anything to the story. I thought he was gonna add something because, you know, he had a very intimidating design, but no, he just shows up to just steal something from the Loud family. Lily's the only one who noticed, and then at the very end he just ends up back in jail. So what was the point? I get it's supposed to be for
I got a
comedy, but I
question.
just didn't find it that funny.
I know I know this is a huge spoiler, but the Loud's car breaks down and they lost all their luggage and stuff.
Yeah.
How did they get their? What did they wear through the whole vacation? Did they just wear the same clothes every day?
I don't know, it's cartoon logic. I guess we're not supposed to take it that seriously.
I'm pretty sure it took place in one day.
There's so much that doesn't make sense with this episode. And again, it's a cartoon. I get it. But just like I said with Matt the Scientist, The Loud House is one of the more grounded in reality shows, and it's part of the charm. But there's so much here that just doesn't make that much sense. First of all, they find the crop duster plane, and Lana could just easily fix it. Yet she can't fix one of the doors on Vanzilla. And it's like, okay, you can fix a crop duster plane that's been there for many, many years, possibly, but you can't fix a simple car door. It's like...
Okay, now you're making me want
But you know, I'm no mechanic, so maybe that's a lot harder than it looks. I don't know.
I was actually I was at the mechanics the other day. I'm like, is it hard attaching the car door? And he's like, no, it's easy.
Right, it's like, what?
Oh, okay,
like
then.
a wrench and some bolts, or I don't know, like that.
Yeah, it's just like you have to just do a little. You just have to do some. You have to undrill some bolts and stuff, and it'll be all good.
Also,
Right,
how
so
does a
even
crash
before
roll
that-
when...
Could have
Even
fixed it,
before
but
that,
she
when they crashed the van, Lana easily fixed it. So, I don't know, that
Okay.
just annoyed me. I was just like...
Wait, and when they crash the van, how do the windows just go up randomly? Cartoon logic, or is that actually like... No, that's just
I
doesn't sound
didn't
like it
even
could possible.
notice that.
Yeah, but the
Okay,
windows
so-
just... Lana even
so,
points out,
like-
after the second crash, that the windows just go right back up, just, okay, whatever.
Right, but I also kind of feel like the only possible reason why they had that whole thing of why they can't put the door back is just so they can, like, have Lucy's casket as, like, the door, I guess. Which, that's the only thing I can think of for why they had to have that.
Which doesn't even make sense why Lucy would bring a casket.
because she's fucking
Most
Lucy.
of the things in this episode don't make much sense, so I talk more about that. I'm gonna get a headache.
You know, something I kind of noticed. You know how Rita was keep forgetting Lily and everything? That kind of made me think back on, let's say, Rita Loud when we were thinking about what to do with Lola, and then Lucy was all, let's chain up Lola up and adding, and Rita was actually on with that. It's like, whoa!
Rita must be secretly sadistic.
Maybe, I don't know. And then, of course, we also learned that Rita can fly planes. I mean, I guess she can.
Hey,
But I
TyeDye,
guess we needed it just to progress
Yeah?
the episode.
did you remember?
Oh, by the way,
I just thought
this
back to
episode...
Black fanfiction, My Lincoln. Maybe that's a real one.
Yoshi,
I was saying, I think we forgot to bring this up. Just like in Mad Scientist, there's a musical number in this episode, and guess what?
Oh, yeah.
And
All
it's
it does
supposed to be a
is-
parody. It kind of
All
sounds
it
like
does
one, but I
is
don't
just
get it.
all it does is just remind the audience of the same jokes that we got throughout the episode because apparently that's all they can do.
I mean, it's-
Like remember when Lori farted? Remember when Lenny made those sandwiches?
Oh,
I
I
mean-
definitely want to point that out.
I mean, it's
Oh,
catchy
no.
though. It's got kind of nice
It
bluesy.
feels like a parody, but I don't know of what.
All I vaguely remember is maybe the chorus, but that's about it.
It's a very forgettable song.
But that's all I can really remember from it.
Oh, and Luna doesn't get to sing once at all.
All she does is play bass guitar. I'm just like, are they doing this because
Because she's a musician. I mean,
But she also sings.
yeah, but she
I
doesn't
guess
always
they
have
do
to
this
sing.
because, like, you know, they realize I guess they realize that the fans don't like.
Luna has the best singing voice.
I could say.
I respectfully disagree. I think Lynn Senior has the best singing voice.
But again,
Go
the musical
the-
number here, it honestly was just forgettable. I didn't care for it all that much. Even though,
just-
again, I get why it's in here because they need to raise money because they end up losing Vanzilla because they end up putting Vanzilla in reverse. I rewatched the episode and I guess it happens by accident. That's the only thing I can think of.
Why doesn't anyone have their money or phones on them? Like their wallets and
Because
stuff.
then if they did, the episode would just be over. That's all
Oh,
I
yeah.
can think of.
Though, to be fair, what if somebody tried to mug them and they actually succeeded with mugging them of their money?
Wait,
That
why-
would've made
well,
more
if they
sense.
mugged them, they
Okay, can I
would-
say one more thing about the music, about the musical number though? There's one really funny moment when everyone's just glaring at Lenny for the XL incident, and she just smiles and does a thumbs up.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh my god, you're just showing me bring it up.
I don't know. All it just reminded me of was like, hey,
Lenny's turning into Patrick.
The egg salad sandwich scene. This is why I don't like Lenny. You
Hey,
call,
boss.
you call Lenny a ditz. I looked up what ditzy means. It means like fighting easily confused. Does that mean stupid? No, it doesn't. It's like you're giving the old sibling.
No, she's an idiot. I mean,
she's an idiot. Yeah, exactly, and ditzy as well. But like, this
She's
is why I
turning
don't
into
like Lenny
Patrick.
because it's like she knowingly did this. She made those sandwiches so far in advance. Like it's almost like she knowingly did this.
I mean, it's
No,
not the stupidest thing that.
no, sorry, I didn't mean to. But go on.
Okay, I was gonna say that it's not the stupidest thing Lenny's ever done. It's no kick the bucket list where she thought that a rock would link him.
That's
you
still her worst
see
moment.
why I
by
don't
far.
like her.
But still,
Because I mean, that's part of her charm, though. It's her stupidity is part that makes her so adorable.
I don't see it as much as others, just because probably just because
I
Patrick.
feel like they've been overblowing it, and they've just been kind
Uh-huh.
of making it where it's like that's her only character trait, and they want to like blow it out of proportion.
Which just makes me just not like her anymore, because it's just
And again, I think her Disney personality.
you're
is
trying to make me like her, but you
charming.
can't do it because you're just making her so facepalm where like.
It's like
And then
beating a
fandom
dead
fans came,
horse,
so-
isn't it?
And then fandom fans came along and completely ruined that. So it's
Yeah,
like,
we talked
yeah,
about
good
that
luck
last
making me like her
podcast.
now.
That's not really-
But that is not relevant at all.
As far as the rest of the trip goes, I mean, I don't want to talk much about it because just like with Frenzy, I did a full review for it. I went into much more detail with it, but all I can say is that I get why people like it. I just don't like it.
It's
There was one other thing about it that I did like though, and it's kind of a small positive though.
What is it?
What?
It had a nice ending.
Yes.
Let's admit that. It did have a good ending. Everyone
But they
was
had-
happy. Everyone was playing with each other. Everyone was
Oh.
enjoying themselves.
Oh,
It was
Ozzy.
a decent ending, but
What?
it wasn't amazing.
Did you check? There was this Muppet reference at the ending.
Of course, you brought that
Yeah,
up.
I did not get it.
when Lenny was riding the horse backwards, that was a reference to the Marshall Grover segment where Grover would ride Wonder Horse Fred backwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I would have not caught that.
Like I could also talk about how like I mean for as far as like each sibling goes, I mean like there's only a couple that I think don't really get to do much. I mean after rewatching it, all Luann does is just make her usual cringy puns. That's about it. I don't really remember anything Lucy did. All Lola did I think was just kind of complain here and there, and Lincoln was just there. He didn't.
Like it could have just been written out of the episode.
I think he's sort of supposed to be the straight man in all this, but again, he doesn't do anything here except for the thing with the plane. But even then, that's about it.
If you're supposed to, a straight man usually has.
If you're gonna be a straight man, at least do something that does make you stand out. Instead of just being like, there and doing nothing.
And agreeing with everyone.
So yeah, again, with this episode we're split. Even though me, Yoshi, and Muppet are in the minority for not liking this episode.
I'm really in the middle.
Which again, a lot of people were saying this episode's great. That's awesome. Cool. I'm glad you like it. But I don't know. I mean, I think this episode could have worked a lot better if the writing didn't have to rely so much on just the characters being stupid, and if the story wasn't just trying to be let's just make it all comedy and whatnot. Which, I mean, I'm not asking for to not have comedy. You can have comedy there. But what made Planes, Trains, and Automobiles so great is that we did care about the characters. We did care about, Steve Martin and John Candy. We liked their characters, and they played off each other really well. I feel like for Tripped, we didn't really get that, because I kind of feel like the character interactions with each other, I didn't really think anybody played off each other all that well. But again, that's my opinion. I know people will disagree with that, so that's cool.
So it was just me, TyeDye, and Vossi who liked this episode or something?
I found it okay. I was kind of in the middle.
I thought it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, me too.
Alright, so yeah, that's all I have to say about Tripped, and that was the bomb that we've had of new episodes, and it's all over the place, I'll be honest. As far as favorite episode of the bomb, I'm easily giving it to Head Poet's Anxiety. That episode is amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
As
of course.
So that's best of the bomb. Honorable mention, I'm gonna give the Deal Me Out. I wasn't crazy about it, but I thought it was alright. I didn't mind it. Worst of the bomb, though, this is kind of tricky, but I'm gonna give more of the edge to Tripped, mainly because I just kind of was more annoyed with it. With dishonorable mention going to Frenzy. So those were. So what about you, Vossi?
Best, yeah, it's pretty obvious. Honorable mention, I think I'm gonna give that to Deal Me Out, because it was passable, wasn't awful. The worst.
Your best of the bomb was Head Poet's Anxiety, right?
Yes, Head Poet's Anxiety is the best. Deal Me Out was the honorable mention. The worst. This is gonna sound really awkward, but I'm giving it to Mad Scientist. I just wasn't that crazy about it.
The Lisa fan.
The one who likes Lisa the most. I just wasn't crazy about that. With this honorable mention, yeah, Frenzy.
Lisa.
I can't decide between Frenzy and Tripped, really. So Frenzy, I guess. Oh, Frenzy. I'd say Maz worse.
I am Alan, and I say you have betrayed your.
So Frenzy, this honorable mention. Mad Scientist worst.
Okay, best of the week. I mean, do I really even need to say it?
Exactly.
Oh no, I was gonna say Tripped. I'm kidding. It's Head Poet's Anxiety, obviously. I mean, I've already gushed about it before. I usually like to do a best to worst list. It's my thing. So yeah, best of the week was obviously Head Poet's Anxiety. Second best would go to Deal Me Out. I thought it was alright. I thought it had some cute flashbacks, some funny moments with Flip, and it was alright. The middle would go to The Mad Scientist. It's a better version of GarageBand. I don't know how to pronounce. GarageBand. Because I understood Lisa's struggle more than I did with what Laurie went through in GarageBand, but even then, it's still not that great. Second worst and the worst was actually really tough for me to think about because, I hate these episodes both equally. But you know what? I'm gonna say second worst is gonna go to Tripped because I hated it more because everyone was stupid, but my least favorite is Frenzy because everyone was just so mean to each other. I don't think it's as bad as Brawl in the Family. Don't get that impression. Nothing will ever be as bad as Brawl in the Family. I doubt that they'll ever make an episode as bad as that. But yeah, Frenzy. Well, yeah, probably. But yeah, still, it wasn't that great. That's my least favorite.
Okay, Muppet.
I'm sorry. I'm yelling at the people at customer service right now on the other line.
Oh, okay. So.
Because my stupid pop broke. I'm gonna sue Funko. But anyway, best of the week is going to go to the episode everyone says it's already the best.
Head Poet's Anxiety.
Yeah. Honorable mention will be Deal Me Out because I'm a sucker for conventions. I like conventions. I go to conventions. weirdly enough, all the time.
Alright.
Worst of the week. I know I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I'm gonna say Trip. Because it was really tough, but Trip's worst because it goes on for so much longer.
Oh, yeah, it's 22 minutes, so it's longer.
Yeah, and the second worst is Frenzy.
Alright, so now,
And then I look at my
so now
ranking
we're-
list, and then I
okay,
realize
so,
that I think Trip was worse than Frenzy. Whoops.
Okay, so Wild Kirby, what
So
about
Trip
you?
is my actual dishonorable mention.
It's obvious what the first one's gonna be. So, first off, obviously, it's friggin' Head Poet's Anxiety. Second one, I kind of like Tripped, though. I know you guys don't like it, but I want to go with Tripped, because I liked it. It was kind of funny in my eyes.
Alright, cool. Third,
And the
middle?
third one, you know what? Third one goes to Mad Scientist. I would have ranked it up higher, but there were some things in there that I did not agree with in there, and I don't want to say well, okay, I'll say it. For Mad Scientist, I really didn't like the butt shaking and the injection part with the ice cream and everything.
Okay, so wait, is that like the worst? Or
No. I said the third one would be Mad Scientist.
okay, so it's third best.
Yeah, so
It's in the middle.
yes.
Okay, so
And as for, let's see.
so for second worst.
Yeah, I'm kind of split on this one. Frenzy, yeah, it is kind of the lowest of the bunch because I mean, I kind of like Frenzy, but at the same time, I can see why people don't like it, but so yeah, it's not really the strongest, but it's definitely not the worst episode either.
So what would be the worst?
I think Deal Me Out kind of bothered me more than Frenzy did.
Alright.
Because I really didn't like the theme of the plot it was going for. I mean, really, you don't have to give up the stuff you grew up with just to grow up or whatever. You don't have to
No,
do
definitely
that.
not.
Okay, alright, MrTyeDye.
Okay, first, obviously, is going to be Head Poet's Anxiety. Second favorite is going to be Tripped. Just a really fun episode. Least favorite is going to be Deal Me
Oh, wait,
Out.
what about middle?
Oh, middle, Mad Scientist. Second least favorite, Frenzy, which was, fine, just not as good as the others. And the least favorite was Deal Me Out.
Alright, cool. So there you go, folks. Those were our thoughts on the newest episodes
Shit,
that
what's
we
my
got.
fucking ranking list?
So thank you all for watching, and hopefully soon we'll have another new podcast to talk about the newest episodes that may or may not be coming out at the end of June. They've been announced, I think, for like around the last week of June, like June 26th, June 28th. I think that's when they announced them. Like, I don't know. We'll have to see. But like when they come out, we'll record our next podcast and we'll have it out for you guys. So look out for that. And like tell us in the comments below what you thought of these episodes. Like we always enjoy.
What did you think of this episode? What did you think of this podcast as well?
Right. Leave your comments down below on like what you thought of our podcast, what you thought of the episodes we talked about, and whatnot. We always enjoy hearing you guys talk about these episodes. Also, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to Talking Loud. We've just reached 200 subscribers, so we're definitely getting somewhere, I think. I don't know, but 200, that's definitely a start. And also thanks to we want to thank our guests, WildKirbyAtrox and MrTyeDye for being here. You guys it was a lot of fun talking with you. And until next time, I'm Andrew Brower.
Anglophile Gamer.
I'm gonna go rewatch Head Poet's Anxiety because I loved it. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm Yoshi Player.
I'm pissed off at Funko right now.
And I think I also said that. I don't know.
Got this in my. Alright, fine.
And we'll see you guys next time.